Hey guys, StandardVR back with something a little bit different today. I've been on this channel for about 5 to 6 months now, so we're going to do a little bit of a get to know you ranking system of the mainline games so you know where my preferences lie on the Pokemon games. And feel free to disagree with me in the comments. Let's argue about it. Let's have a discussion about what is the best Pokemon game, talking main series games. So let's get into it. First up, Gen 1, we got Red and Blue. So, I'm going to tell you right now, this is where I started. I'm kind of old. So, I'm going to be honest, a lot of nostalgia goes into this. But this is the OG, the original game that started all. I still think that these games have a lot of replayability, and the sprite work is just so nice that I am putting Red and Blue in the A tier. I don't think it's quite S tier. Objectively, I just can't put it in the S tier. Along with Yellow, I think is the same, in the same vein there. I think they're A tier because they're the games that I always go back to whenever I'm kind of feeling down. You know what'll always kind of perk me up? Go back, play Red, Blue, Yellow. I do think, if we're talking between these three, I think I do rate Yellow a little bit higher than Red and Blue. Just a little, like, walking through the towns when I was like, what, 8 years old, 9 years old, and like the color changes was so nice in Yellow. So I do think Yellow is slightly above Red and Blue. That being said, let's go on to Gen 2. We got Heart Gold, or we're not there yet, but we got Gold and Silver. Again, a big nostalgia plays into these, but these ones I do think are B tier, even though they do have my favorite starter in Cyndaquil, little guy. I do think that Gold and Silver are a little bit lower than Red and Blue, and I think a lot of it has to do with that level curve and like how you're like level 30 to 40 when you're facing the Elite Four for the first time. And I wasn't really big into post-game content. It's a lot of work, a lot of grinding, a lot of hours put in. Crystal, same thing. I do think that I like Gold and Silver over Crystal. Crystal just didn't have enough added content for me to really put it above Gold and Silver, and you know, Gold and Silver is just such a nice game. So here at Gen 3, this is where it's going to get a little heated. This is where I think I have a little bit of a hot take on this, and I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me. Now, for some context, I didn't play Gen 3. I didn't play Gen 3 when it came out. I was in like that awkward age where like Pokemon was a little bit like kiddish. So I don't even think I had a Game Boy Advance. I don't think I got a Game Boy Advance until a Game Boy Advance SP. So I didn't play Gen 3. And I know that's where a lot of people started. That's where a lot of competitive started. So like, I rank Gen 3 down here in the D tier, to be honest. Like the Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. I'm going to put Emerald above Ruby and Sapphire. I have gone back and tried to play through these. There's a lot of water, a lot of surfing. Not a big mechanic that I'm a fan of. I feel like the map is very awkward as well. Again, I think a lot of that just stems from I didn't play a lot of these games. So, like, it feels very just weird to me. Still great games. All the Pokemon games, I love playing. I love replaying them. But these ones, this Gen 3, no, I know they're fan favorites. Just didn't do it for me. So, moving forward, we went into Fire Red and Leaf Green. These are good. I do think that these are, see, now this is where I start to get a little bit, I think I'm going to put these in the B tier. But I do think I am going to put these above Gold, Silver, and Crystal. The quality of life changes and like the physical special split, all that kind of stuff in Fire Red, Leaf Green, the added islands, all of the added content that they added to the originals for Fire Red and Leaf Green. Absolutely beautiful games. Absolutely adore these games, but I put it below the originals for the mere fact that I can't go back and replay this for some reason. If I go back and try and play Fire Red, Leaf Green, I just get such a like yearning to I'm just gonna go back and play Red, Blue, and Yellow. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a sprite work. I don't know if it just looks a little too cutesy. I don't know. You tell me. Let me know in the comments. Do you prefer the original trio or Fire Red Leaf Green? Obviously, I know objectively speaking, not talking on nostalgia, not talking on what I'm used to and comfortable with, Fire Red Leaf Green are probably objectively better games than Red, Blue, and Yellow, but that's where I stand. Now, we're getting into Gen 4? Diamond and Pearl. These games are good. These games are solid C-tier games. Platinum, better than Diamond and Pearl. I will say that. I didn't play a lot of these, but I did start to play those a little bit. But I wasn't a huge fan. Obviously, the Dragon Trio, some of the greatest designed legendaries I think that they actually have. Like Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, so cool. And a lot of like the lore that they started with Gen 4 with all the time, space stuff, and Arceus, absolutely great storytelling. But just a little bit slow. I think they're a little bit slow. Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Remakes of some of my favorite games. These I am going to put up here in the A tier above Red, Blue, and Yellow. Which seems kind of weird the way I've been talking, but I have replayed these games so many times. And I think all the quality of life stuff and being able to like walk around with your Pokemon, it's so nice. It's such a nice, relaxing game. So, then we get into Gen 5. Black and White. This is where I kind of came back to Pokemon, and I'm putting that up in the S tier. I think the storytelling in Black and White is the greatest Pokemon has ever done. And again, the designs of the Pokemon in this game, like the Reshiram, Zekrom, all that kind of stuff is so good. You got, what we got? We had rotation battles. We had triple battles in that game. Black and White, to me, is the pinnacle of Pokemon. I think they really kind of took it back to the originals in gameplay wise, and it worked so well together. And then Black and White 2, I think just topped it. The fact that you played protagonists that were kind of searching for the protagonists from Black and White, I think it was amazing. These 4 games worked so well together as a unit. I think that was like the greatest that they've ever done. So then we go on to Gen 6. Now, Gen 6 was cool. You had Mega Evolution. Xerneas and Yveltal, cool Pokemon. Wasn't too sold on the starters in this gen, but I think this was the first one that went to 3DS, correct? And then you also, they really hit it out of the park with the nostalgia factor for us old heads, when you also got a Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander as like a secondary starter. So this is a very nice game. I am going to actually put this in the B tier. And the reason that I'm putting this in the B tier, I love this game. This game is actually one of my favorite games in the series. It's hard for me to replay it. I don't know. It feels very empty when I go and replay it. But I do remember when I originally played it, the game was absolutely peak. Now, we have Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, the remakes of so far my D tier Pokemon games. Again, these had Mega Evolutions, these had Primals, these had a lot of quality of life changes. And I'm actually going to put these up in the A tier, which looks really weird considering I have these guys down here in the D tier. But the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I think the games are so well designed. They were paced really well. I really like the inclusion of the Megas, the Ultra Wormholes, like all that kind of stuff just worked so well for me. But, you know, that's how tier lists work. Sun and Moon, I was not a fan. I was not a fan of Sun and Moon. They go down here in the D tier, along with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. They were too slow. The entire game felt like a tutorial that it was walking you through, and like it held your hand. There was a lot of text. I can't replay these games because they're just too slow. I tried recently. My attention span isn't what it used to be. I think the Pokemon are cool. Alolan Pokemon, peak design. Necrozma is absolutely terrifying. Competitively, a lot of competitive Pokemon came out of these games. And I know a lot of people love Gen 7. I'm just not a fan of it. Now, then they went back and they remade Let's Go, or they remade Red and Blue in the version of Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. And they completely kind of flipped the script on the RPG system. They said no random battles, we're just going to make a little catch-em game. You're going to not throw your remote, but you're going to flick your remote to throw a Pokeball. Make it more interactive. And then they're like, hey, we're also going to have the greatest graphics for the Switch that a Pokemon game has ever had. And you can argue with me on that till the cows come home, and I'm going to tell you, I'm never going to change my stance on that. This is one of the greatest games. It is so fun to play. You have Megas. You have Megas. Competitive is a little bit easier. Like, it's so good. It's such a well-made game, and I'm surprised they haven't gone back and made another one in that same vein. But I put that in the S tier. It hits the nostalgia factor. It hits the replayability factor. It's a little bit quirkier than other mainline Pokemon games. And you get to actually start as an Eevee, which is really cool. And the fact that they kind of made it to where you got moves for every evolution on your Eevee, I just think it was really it was a neat game. I'm going to put that up in the S tier. I like that. I don't think it's as good as the traditional RPGs with the black and white too, but S tier. Now, Sword and Shield. I also don't think people are going to agree with me on this one. I'm putting Sword and Shield. I'm putting it up here in the A tier. This game did get me into competitive. This is where I started, so that's how new I am. Sword and Shield is where I started my competitive journey. I think the graphics for Sword and Shield were really good. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, the trees and the render rate and the ground. But, you know, I'm kind of more looking at the Pokemon. That's just me. Graphics don't really matter, as you can tell by the fact that, you know, my top rated games are Game Boy games and a remake of a Game Boy game. I just love Sword and Shield so much. Like, the Dynamaxing, like, obviously for competitive, I don't think Dynamax is a great mechanic. Aesthetically and, like, visually, being able to battle in, like, the giant Coliseum stadiums and then the giant towering Dynamax, Gigantamax Pokemon, it was so cool. And I think they really hit it with, like, making a kid's monster catching game. Sword and Shield, A tier, no question. Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, the remakes of Gen 4. Not a fan of Gen 4. Or should I say not a fan of the mainline games of Gen 4. BDSP, though. BDSP is absolutely amazing. I'm going to put it up here above yellow, red, and blue. And the only reason I don't play BDSP more is because there's a little bit more portability for me anyways, because I don't really like carrying a Switch around. There's a little bit more portability with playing the OG Game Boy games for me. I thought BDSP did a really great job of really retaining the original aesthetic and feel of Diamond and Pearl, which I did enjoy Diamond and Pearl. And it just really brought that game back and gave it more life and really just kind of upped its value to me. Now, I know there's people that'll say Legends Arceus isn't a mainline game, but we're going to include it anyways. And I'm actually going to put this down here in the C tier. I will put it, I think, at the top of the C tier. I liked Legends Arceus. It is a very fun game. I don't go back and replay it, but I have high hopes for Legends ZA, so I'm hoping it can at least match Arceus, but I'm feeling like it's going to be up here maybe in like the B. So we will see when that comes out. Scarlet and Violet. I'm not a fan of Scarlet and Violet. I'm going to put it down here. I'm actually going to put this at the top of the D tier. I enjoyed playing through Scarlet and Violet once. I don't think I've actually gone back and replayed through Scarlet and Violet again, because I'm not really a fan of open world games, to be honest, and Pokemon felt really weird in open world. And I think it might have been better if they would have actually like scaled the gyms, but that's a talk for a whole nother day. Scarlet and Violet just didn't really do it for me. Obviously, it did wonders for the competitive scene. I'm very thankful for the game. But that's my tier list. Let me know in the comments below what you would change or what your tier list looks like. And if you've made it this far in the video, please drop a sub, drop a like, drop a comment. And as always, have a great day. Peace.